The Sony A6000 in 2019? Really? Hi, I'm Arnie, and this is Arnie Jacobson TV, where we talk travel, camera gear, tech. Hey, if you're into any of those three things, why don't you consider subscribing? Just click that big red subscribe button down below. Don't forget, click the bell icon also, so you'll be notified whenever we put up new content. Oh, and make sure you check out the show notes down in the YouTube description box for even more details and links. So yeah, the Sony A6000 in 2019. I'm not kidding. You might say, hasn't this thing been around forever? And not in real life, but in camera years, yeah. And this little guy has been around since 2014, and that's when we picked up two of them. My wife still uses hers. Sadly, mine bit the dust in Wells, England a few years back as it went crashing to the cobblestones, but that's a different story for a different time. So let's get back on the topic, shall we? So yeah, the A6000 is still a viable product in 2019. You can still find them brand new. They're still out there. So that tells you that there's still a demand for these. Now, why would you go and spend your hard-earned money on a camera that's essentially 5 years old? Well, because it works. Pure and simple, it works. And at a really great price. As I said, my wife still uses hers for all of her photos. She still uses the kit lens, the 1650 3.5 to 5.6, and she gets great images, as you can see from some of the photos that we took in Denmark in our trip last summer. This guy has the same processor, the Bions, I don't know how to pronounce that. The same 24.3 megapixel sensor. It offers manual controls, shutter speed, and aperture opening. So as you progress, the camera grows with you. It has a superb autofocus system. It's one of the best, and for a camera that's been around for 5 years, it's amazing how good this thing is if you're using the autofocus. And again, my wife uses everything auto. She doesn't do anything manual. Autofocus, auto ISO, the whole shooting match. It's fast, it's sure. What more could you want in an autofocus system? Additionally, it has face detection. Another really great feature for a camera that's 5 years old. Additionally, it can shoot up to 11 frames per second. That is hugely fast. I've never used it that way myself, but that's really, really fast. Now, another reason this is a good camera to start out with is the Sony lens ecosystem. Essentially what that means is that all the lenses, that Sony makes can be used. So if you buy some lenses for this camera, you can take them with you should you upgrade to the next, higher level or whatever. You'll still be able to use them. So that's a really great feature, that know that you're not going to have to start from scratch. You'll have lenses that can, because trust me, you are going to buy new lenses. It's part of the game. Now, if you're planning on shooting video, it does have a little bit of a shortcoming in that it doesn't shoot 4K. And, many people will say you don't need that anyway. It's totally a personal choice. It shoots in HD, and it shoots no faster than 60 frames per second. So if you're wanting to have that really, really buttery slow motion that 120 frames per second will give you, can't do it on the A6000. Also, it only has image stabilization in the lenses. So there is no in-body image stabilization. And that works perfectly fine as long as you're using Sony lenses with the stabilization built in. Go to a third-party lens, and then you're going to have to lock it off. Put it up on a tripod or something like that, because the shake is going to show. It's just something to keep in mind. There's a lot of great Sony lenses, so it's not a big issue. One of the biggest shortcomings Sony owners complain about is that the flip screen, you can't see it from the front. It doesn't flip out to the side, it doesn't flip up to the top. It's a little bit of a pain if you're using it for video, selfie kind of stuff. It would be nice if it had that, but there's a lot of cameras that don't have it. Even some higher end cameras that don't have a selfie screen, if you want to call it that. Oh, and another shortcoming, if you're planning on using this for video, is that there is no audio input jack. Again, that's a little bit of a hassle. You'll have to, use an external audio recorder. That's something that I've done, and it's really not that big a deal, but it would be nice to have it for the convenience. So you probably already figured it out that this is probably more suited to you if you're interested in photography rather than video. It still shoots passable video, but it's not going to give you all the little bells and whistles, I guess you'd say, of some of the newer cameras, albeit it is a much more affordable camera, so you trade that off. Can you get by? So to sum things up, this camera is light, it's powerful, small, it's a great little package. And it's relatively inexpensive for an interchangeable lens camera. As I've mentioned, for a 5-year-old camera, it really is packed with a lot of features. My wife still loves it. In short, I think I'd say you cannot go wrong if you're a beginner with the A6000. And if you buy through one of our links, we get a small commission, and it doesn't cost you anything more. Hey, if you like this kind of content, why don't you go ahead and leave us a thumbs up, a comment. Are you really seriously thinking about the A6000, or maybe something else? We'd really like to know. Share, subscribe. Thanks. We do appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.